Alright you guys, so we're back working on the 1725. In the last videos we got the valve train all put together. So today we're going to slap a few more parts on. I'm going to wait to throw the distributor on, I think, until I get all the coils, or I'm sorry, all the wires. Today we're going to focus on the oil filter adapter, the fuel pump, timing cover will probably go on, oil pan will probably go on. So let's get to it. We're going to start with the oil filter. I'm sorry, fuel pump. So over here we have a variety. We have 3 different pumps, and let me show you the difference between these pumps. This is the one that came with the car that was sitting in the trunk for who knows how long. So that's the primer, an idea. And then this is the primer on the second pump, which I got. Functions. And this is the newest pump, which I got. Really healthy primer. You can even hear, it working. So I have high hopes for this pump. So we're gonna slap this on. The guy who I got this from asked me if I wanted the spacer for it too, if I needed the spacer. I had no idea there was a spacer, so I'm really glad he brought it up, because without this, the arm would be riding on, or the cam would be riding on the wrong spot on the arm. So we're gonna slap this on, got a couple of gaskets for it, and then that's all that's entailed with the fuel pump. So let me find my gaskets for it. Look at this. 91 in here. Sweating over here. Okay, so should there even be this many gaskets on this engine? There are a lot in here. Okay. These are the gaskets we need. I'm going to start by cleaning up the spacer the best that I can. It is very, very grubby. I don't want to take a razor blade to this because it's made out of some kind of a composite. I don't want to dig into it. Take our bolts, take our other gasket. I already cleaned off camera the surface on the block where it's going to be going. So now, let me just throw our other gasket on. Slap it on in. You want to make sure that that arm is riding on the cam. This is kind of a tricky placement. Uh-oh. Maybe I should put the bottom one on first. Loosen this top one a little. All right. Now, I should have put some lube on that. Put plenty of assembly lube on it. I don't know the torque specs on this because it has that composite spacer. So I imagine we don't want to over tighten it and break that spacer. Probably gonna go right about there. Okay. Fuel pump is installed. However, can't move the primer now. Are you supposed to be able to move it with it on the car? No, maybe not. I don't know if you're supposed to be able to move that. All right, so I just asked on a Facebook forum or a Facebook group for these cars if this is supposed to be like this, because this primer, I rotated the engine to get the cam lobe down where the fuel pump rides. And if you look, we still don't have a lot of movement for the primer, so I'm gonna wait and hopefully hear back from somebody. Hopefully that's just a normal thing on these engines. So we had to open the door because it was 90 degrees in here. But we'll now get ready to throw the gasket on and throw on the oil filter adapter, which I'll show you the new adapter which I got. This is my old one, and this one is designed for one of these ginormous can style filters, and I really don't want to run one of these. It's enormous, it's ugly, it's stupid. So the guy who I got the fuel pump from gave me this one here, which is for just a regular screw-on filter that you can get at any part store. but I'm gonna have to get shorter bolts if I don't want to run this. It has a oil cooler block, which we don't have to run. I probably won't run it. This had some thick oil in it before. This stuff's nasty. Cheese pull.
Slowly.
Dang.
Let's see the world's best cheese pull. Here we go.
I'm probably gonna run it without this, which means I'm probably gonna have to get new hardware. These will probably stick down in there too far, because we're probably not gonna run an oil cooler unless in running the car I find that I need one, but we'll see. So I'm just gonna set this on here. Yeah, these bolts are gonna be way too long, so maybe we won't be able to do this right now. Maybe I'm gonna have to go get shorter bolts. So that's gonna wait. But what we can do is, now that everything is pretty much together on the top end, we can throw the oil pan on. However, I do want to clean out some of these holes here. If you look, this is exactly why I waited to put the oil pan on, because of that I believe to be the dipstick hole, and there's all kinds of crud in there. So when I clean it out, should fall right through. I don't got to worry about it. This is also, that is not a dead end hole, so that goes all the way through. So I'll clean those out real quick before putting the pan on. That way we can avoid any crap falling down in there. Oh yeah, that goes. Yeah, there's a lot of crap in there, jeez. I can see it falling through down to the ground. I mean, it probably wouldn't cause too much damage, but I'd rather not end up in the oil pan. Look at here, it's like lint. All right, now to try and do this without dropping it, because very top heavy, very tall motor. Just like that. All right. Time for the oil pan. All right, so we have an O-ring in here. There's no diagram with this. I don't know what that O-ring goes to, so if anybody knows, please tell me. It's probably important. So I guess we'll figure it out when we run it, probably. But now we're gonna throw on, I should wait to throw on the pan until I know what that's for. It might be for the oil pump, which I'm hoping not. Yeah, all right. We're gonna hold off, and we're gonna figure out what this is for before we put the pan on, because it might be for something under the pan, something oil pump related maybe. So yeah, let's figure this out first. All right. So the good news is that seal is for the distributor. Come to find out, it's the distributor seal. So it doesn't have anything to do with anything under the oil pan. So with that being said, the oil pan mating surface on the block has been cleaned up. Off camera, I cleaned up the surface on the oil pan itself. So all that's left to do is smother this thing in RTV, and then slap the gaskets on and torque down the pan. Set them on dry first. So it's a 4-part oil pan gasket. We got one here. I don't think that's the right side. Ah, yes, okay. That's not right. There we go. Just about. We're gonna have to do a little bit of trimming, but it just about lines up. And then these pieces go right here. I'm not a fan of cork gaskets because, in my experience, like on my Ford motor, they like to slide around. However, these ones sit in a groove here around the crank, so these ones we shouldn't have to worry about sliding around anywhere. So I think what I'm going to do is start by covering the other side of the gasket in RTV, and then get those pretty much set into place, and then we'll get this cork gasket put in, which barely fits in there. And we should be good to go. RTV time. Doesn't want to fit in the way that it should. All right, so the gaskets, as you can see, are a little bit out this way, and they line up in these holes around the crank, or these cracks. So what we're going to do is cut them down a little bit. That way we can slide them inward a little more to get them lined up. And then, like I said, hit them with RTV on both sides. That way we can ensure that there's no leaks. You never have too much RTV. That's a lie. You're going to absolutely have too much and get it in your oil pan and blow stuff up. So we're just gonna eyeball it. I'm just gonna try and use these. Try not to overcut them. That was at a crappy angle. Wow, I already messed it up. That's okay though, because these corners are getting RTV, especially. All right, look at that, just about perfect. Right there. Yep. I mean, it's a little wonky, but what can you expect? This side will do the same deal. I didn't cut those off into the engine, did I? That one almost went into the engine. Lines up good there. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay a bead, smear it around. Make sure everything seals good. Oh, that's already coming out. Can you pull something up on your phone? Hold on. I'm finished putting shit away here. All right, so iPhone unfortunately ran out of storage. Go figure, it's an iPhone thing. So we have the pan on. I wanted to get it set on before the RTV completely dries, but we just put RTV on both sides of the gasket. Put the cork gasket in, and then tightened everything down. I will say the cork gaskets, which go around the crank, they don't really fit. So I had to do something stupid. I'm not proud of it. But I shaved it down. I shaved down the edge, cut off just a little bit. That way it fits in, at least on the front. The back one I didn't have too much trouble with. But that was a huge pain. 4 out of 10. Wouldn't do it again. But all the bolts are in the pan, except for these two. I know they say you should never torque down, bolts when some of the bolts are missing. But there are these metal, I guess, support pieces that help evenly distribute the torque across the entire oil pan, so I'm not too stressed about it. Now, I had to keep those ones out because these need to go on. These mount to the bell housing on the transmission. Okay. So you can't get it wrong. This is specific to the side. So the other one that I have, this one has the studs in it. The other one that I have, I thought had the studs in it, but it doesn't. So I'm probably gonna have a real fun time trying to find these studs. If I can't find them, I'm gonna have to run a Tractor Supply again. I love that place. No sarcasm, I just go there a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and slap the bolts in for where the bracket attaches the oil pan to the bell housing. And then we'll slap on the oil cooler, or I'm sorry, the oil adapter, because we got the hardware for that. And I think we'll call it a day. I don't think there's really anything else that needs done. All right, so flip it back over once again. Okay, she's heavy. All right, now we'll find the gaskets for our oil filter adapter. Slap that on. Hopefully I got the right size bolts. These bolts should hopefully be the right length that we can completely get rid of the cooler. Figure out the right way that this goes on here. Just like so. a couple of bolts in to keep the gasket lined up. Ooh, burpee over there. Thread it on. I don't know what direction this should be facing. Let me stop real quick and do a Google search and figure out what direction that's supposed to be facing, because I think it can mount up either way. I don't know how much it matters, but I'm going to Google it just to be safe before putting it on completely. Alright, so this is the correct orientation, the way that it's on right now. So I'm going to find the socket, so I can zip them on a little bit quicker. Alrighty. Oil filter adapter is officially on. Make sure it's torqued down good. Alright. I think that'll conclude everything for the day. I think we're gonna wait to put the distributor on until we get the plug wires, which should be here Friday. And then we'll just slap it on when we go to actually start it up. But I think that should be everything until Friday. So stay tuned to the next video. Hopefully we have this motor up and running. So today we did fuel pump, oil pan went on, oil filter adapter went on. So now it's just distributor, carb, intake and exhaust manifold. Oh, timing cover, that needs to go on. I don't feel like doing that today. But stay tuned. There's more to come.